From sales in ICICI, you moved up through the ranks. You went on to head the team over there, and then moved to Motilal Oswal as the CEO. So, what is the changes that you had to make going from heading a team to heading the whole business? What are the learnings that you had along the way?
So, the biggest learning is that when you are running you're running a sales team or you're running a vertical in any firm. So, for example, I was involved with international business. I was involved with institutional sales, retail sales, product development. So, I was fortunate enough to do multiple roles. But what I realized is that when you're running, let's say, a sales team, and you have sales targets, and you have some cost of selling, and you have some revenue that you produce, etc. The point is that how the business data looks when you're only tracking inflows, outflows, market share, and those kinds of things, versus how it looks on a P&L and in the cash flow statement and all is very, very,
it's very
completely,
different.
Completely different. So I think one is that whole financial understanding and orientation. Anybody can prepare you for ages. You can say that I have been groomed for this and I have been prepared for this, blah, blah, blah. But that would still be simulated environment. That would still not be the real thing.
Most of the learnings on the job, I think, for most jobs.
Yeah, only when you get there and when you proverbially get punched in the face is when you will actually realize that that is one. Second thing, since you mentioned about youngsters, what I would say is that most of the times where leaders fail is that when you are a individual contributor and then you become a manager and then you become a team leader and ultimately, let us say, you become a business head or a CEO, what happens is till the time you're on this side, you have someone to talk to or you have someone to represent yourself to. So पुराने ज़माने की फिल्मों की अगर बात करेंगे तो क्या होता है कि लेट्स से जब तक आप वर्कर है ना, तो आप वर्कर है तब तक आप प्रदर्शन और मोर्चा कर सकते हैं.
करेक्ट.
आप बगावत कर सकते हैं जब तक आप वर्कर हैं. अब क्या है कि जब आप मैनेजमेंट बन जाते हैं ना तो आप नहीं कर सकते ना. Right? Then it happens, like see, for example, sometimes you can see that when somebody is in opposition, they are very good at it. The moment they become the ruling party, then the problem starts.
They don't know what to do then.
Yeah. So I think when you become a business head or a CEO, the biggest thing is that now you are the business. Now you have to run it. You're not going to complain to someone. There's nothing to complain. Right? You have to own up. So where most leaders fail, even today I see where most leaders fail is that if you don't own your failures, if you don't own your challenges, if you don't own your losses, if you don't own how your P&L looks in a bad time, then you have no right to own it when it goes into a good time, right?
Right.
And probably you will not see a good time if you don't own up to whatever you are going through. So those are things which one has to learn, and you only learn on the job.
That's what they say, right? That the CEO's life is a bit of a lonely life because they are the ones that have to take the blame for the losses or the this from the profits.
But they are the only one to blame anyway.
Correct, exactly.
This is what, even when we started our business, I think we learned it the hard way when we were doing
after the
jobs.
first year.
Yeah, after the first year, that if anything is going wrong, it's my fault.
Obviously.
मेरा ही fault है, किसी और का fault ही नहीं है.
हमारा तो team engine का था, you have to blame yourself with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because having that attitude at all that it's my employee's fault or it's some external party's fault, that is not going to take you anywhere.
I mean, disowning a mistake or disowning something which is not going as per plan.
Correct.
Is not.
Yeah. I think I was watching an interview of Charlie Munger, and he said that having a victim mentality, even if you are genuinely a victim, is the most counterproductive mentality you can have. Because even if you are genuinely a victim and having that mentality, आप क्या कर सकते हो वहाँ से? You only have one option but to take yourself out of it. You don't have an option to complain. So that is not going to help at all.
Yeah, I mean, it will make you feel comfortable for some time.
Yeah. It won't help you grow.
It won't help the situation at all.
Correct. One more thing is that I get a lot of youngsters, who are जो CA कर रहे हैं अभी, CFA and all of that. They always ask me that what is the role of education. I just wanted to clarify. What is the role of education in? I mean, थोड़ा अपन ने already बात कर लिया है about how having the job experience and attitude is a lot more important to go climb that mountain. But in your opinion, how much education plays a role in your success?
See, I think education plays a huge role. It's just become fashionable. It's just become cool to say that,
it's not.
मतलब on the job सीख लेंगे. It doesn't work that way because there is, see, I mean, there has to be hardware, and there has to be an operating system, and then there has to be various apps and various things, right? I mean, you just can't randomly load anything without following
Bill Gates
the...
का और Steve Jobs का example लेके everybody's like,
तो वो तो exceptional लोग हैं ना.
हाँ, correct,
Yeah.
of
That's
course.
why
They already had the product before they dropped out,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Mark
I mean-
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I mean, I can't start my career with the assumption that I'm an exceptional guy.
Yeah.
You never make an IPL team thinking that आज तो मैं पक्का टॉस जीतूंगा और आज तो
आज तो जीत ही जाएंगे.
हाँ,
हाँ, मतलब आज मैं टॉस भी जीतूंगा,
Century
पिच भी ऐसे ही बिहेव करेगा.
हाँ.
तो एक काम करते हैं, हम लोग 8 बैट्समैन और 2 ऑलराउंडर लेके पिच पे उतर जाते हैं
right.
और हम जीत जाएंगे.
हाँ,
अरे भाई, टॉस हार गया, ट्रैक टर्न करने लगा.
हाँ, हाँ.
तो
That's
क्या
when
करें?
your training will help. That's when you
Exactly.
will,
Yeah. So I think it's overdone. Education is needed for 2 or 3 reasons. One is because like I was very impressed. Recently I'm reading a book called the book is called Calling Bullshit.
अच्छा.
Okay. Because there is information overload, right? There is you don't know who's saying what for what reason, right? So there's this book called Calling Bullshit, and basically what it says that the prime function of education is that when somebody is talking rubbish, you should be able to figure out कि भाई ये बकवास कर रहा है,
हाँ,
right? अगर आपका बेसिक एजुकेशन नहीं है, अगर आपको एक सब्जेक्ट के बारे में कुछ पता ही नहीं है, तो anybody can take you for a ride.
Correct.
ऐसा नहीं है कि it will, like everybody who is well educated doesn't become a CEO or a founder or an entrepreneur,
yeah.
right? It's just that the probability goes up. Let's look at it this way. And everybody is not a child prodigy. I mean, you don't start life assuming I'm going to be Steve Jobs.
That is
Yeah.
true.
I hope you become, but
Yeah.
and also exposure. See, like I find there's a lot of talk of people who are deliberate about being an entrepreneur, deliberate about being a founder, deliberate about being a successful investor.
Correct.
You can't be deliberate about anything.
You can't. Yeah.
It's a series. It's a series of occurrences.
Yeah.
You have to get the right exposure.
Huh.
You have to get the right experience. You might chance upon an idea. You might be rightly placed to exploit that idea. All that has to happen. You can't be like deliberate. You're like, I can't be like sitting here and thinking that, let me think of how I can become a founder.
Correct.
It's not that way, right?
Unfortunately, social media and has put so much pressure on people that if you are doing a job, you're a loser. If you're not a founder, you're a loser. If you're not waking up at 5 a.m., taking cold showers, going for a run in the morning, and then working all day long for 12 hours, आप कहीं भी नहीं पहुंचोगे.
Actually, हर चीज का टेम्पलेट बनाने का कोशिश किया जा रहा है.
हाँ.
Yeah.
Which is actually
But that
not-
sells easily. That's
not
what
how
you
it
can
works.
put on a YouTube video.
There are few things which are amenable to process, like things like physics is amenable to process.
Correct.
But if you say that complex adaptive systems, or if you say that the stock market, everything is not amenable to all processes. Most things are a mix of art and science.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Right, so most things are a mix of art and science. Everything is not amenable to process. So how you become a founder of a successful startup,
Yeah.
उसका process नहीं है.
हाँ, उसका टेम्पलेट नहीं बना सकते आप. Yeah.
Exactly, but like you rightly said, wake up at 5 a.m., take a cold shower, start reading, go for a jog. तो वो कैसे template करोगे ना, मतलब नहीं होता है.
You have to figure out what works for you, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the day you stop being a natural person, in fact, the chance of success goes down rather than going up.
Going up. If you're not true to yourself, मैंने कोशिश किया था एक हफ्ता 5 a.m. उठने की. I managed for about 3 days and then it was,
So I think I'm almost 20 years older to you, so the pressure on me is less. I other than taking a flight, there is no chance I will do
wake up at 5 a.m. नहीं. उसके बाद even I figured कि ये सब
I wake up at a different hour every day.
अच्छा.
Yeah,
ऐसा
it's
route, ऐसा
basically
नहीं है.
natural, no?
Natural.
But as
हाँ.
You have to
माहौल
listen
ऐसा
to your
बन गया
body.
है.
हाँ.
Aju, like you see your people now as founders also, right?
Yeah.
You see other founders and this guy is raising so much, this guy is doing that, and then they just like, अच्छा मैं ये करता था, but that's just bits and pieces of his,
Correct.
entire journey, and
Right.
that's one instant maybe 5 बजे उड़ गया रहेगा यार.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
ऐसा भी मैसेजिंग है कि listen to your body, कहीं न कहीं पे वो छुप गया है
वो
मैसेज.
conflict
That
इतने
it keeps
conflicts
changing.
हैं.
Even with diet, it was like intermittent. पहले ये था कि eat every 2 hours. Now it's intermittent fasting. Don't eat. So these things keep changing. It's just about try a few things, but do what works for you.
What works for you,